Today I have a very inspiring video for you. In today's video, we are talking to Joan McDonald, who at age 70, after struggling with her health for many years, turned her life around, and who is now at age 78, inspiring millions to do the same.
I was sick and tired of being sick and tired.
And without further ado, let's talk to Joan McDonald, who is known to her millions of followers on Instagram and other social media platforms as Train with Joan. Joan, it's such a pleasure to have you on the channel. I have been so looking forward to talking to you.
And what brought me into your scope?
I always look for inspiring people to interview on my channel, and you just came across everywhere I looked, and I thought you would be the perfect person to talk to because you have inspired millions at this point, and you have such a great story. So again, thank you so much for being here and sharing your story with us.
Okay, hope I'm not disappointing. I'm a very ordinary person.
I highly doubt that. Well, Joan, tell us a little bit about yourself. So you're 78, and I don't usually like to talk about age because I think it's just a number, but it is very inspiring what you have achieved in the last 8 years. So tell us a little bit about your story.
I've been pretty miserable, I guess, for some time. I didn't like how my life was going. I was retired, and everything my husband and I had planned didn't come to fruition at all. So my daughter, I'd been supporting her in the sense of being there for her when she went to her meets and was learning how to do all this stuff. And she decided to move to Tulum. And anyways, it was one of their last visits in Canada. And she saw firsthand how my life was going. My health wasn't great. I told her about, that the doctor had wanted to up my meds, and she said, oh, I didn't even know you were on any, blah, blah, blah. I go, yeah, like I figured I told her. Anyway, once she heard the story of what was going on, she just sat me down and gave me a real talking to and said, look, I can help you. And if you will join my transformation group, then we can do something for you and reverse your life, like your health around, because I can't be back here. I can't be back here looking after you, changing your diapers and all the rest of it, because that's where you're heading. Like she wasn't mincing her words at all. So I said, I'll think about it. Anyway, she took me on, and we had to do this the hard way. It was all PDFs. I'm in Canada, she's in Mexico, and I had no idea how to use the iPad the way it was meant to be used. I was just using it for entertainment. And my computer was just a PC. Like, I didn't use it for anything but to keep me interested in stuff, get information from, that kind of thing. And I had to learn all that. I had no technology skills whatsoever. And doing it with PDFs, and I had to write out what the program was, and then I had to follow the program, and then I had to it wasn't very pretty doing it that way. Anyway, it's a wonder I didn't give up. It was very difficult. But
it sounds like it. Yeah. So you had to learn more than getting in touch with your body. You had to learn technology as well.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So at the time when your daughter set you down, I got goosebumps when you were talking about her saying, she's not going to change your diapers, because that is sadly reality for some.
It is.
But at the time you were 70 years old, correct? And when you
I was only 3 months away from my 71st birthday.
And you had, I remember hearing, I've watched so many of your interviews. I remember you saying you had some kidney problems, arthritis.
I still have.
Yeah, all kinds of sort of what we call age-related diseases.
my dad, that he died of renal failure.
Okay. And your daughter is a personal trainer?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She's an
Okay.
online trainer and coach. Her and her husband both. So they can do everything they have to do online. I had to go down there for the first 2 weeks because they had to show me how to do this stuff. Like I didn't learn overnight. I was really slow, really, really slow. And I'm still slow.
That's
Because I
okay.
got arthritis in my thumbs and I can't do what everyone else does with the like I can't make them move the way
Hmm.
you need to when you have your hand on a phone in your hand and you're typing away with two thumbs. I can't do that.
That's what's so inspiring about you too, Joan, is that, you have some problems. We all do, at a
Mm-hmm.
certain
Oh,
age, but
definitely.
you don't let those hold you back. I mean, you've come from being close to, as your daughter said, having to change your diapers at age 70 to now you're 78 years old, inspiring millions. I have some pictures of you where you're flexing your bicep, and I have to say it's better than mine. So that's quite impressive. But you also were quite overweight at the time, correct? When you
I was,
started?
yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, it says 198.8, and I was actually just a few days or so before that, or weeks before that, I was 205. When you get bored or you don't have anything interesting left in your life, you don't live, you exist.
Hmm.
And I didn't want that for me. And
Hmm.
my husband didn't really care one way or the other. It was kind of a standing joke, um, that I took me a little more time to put a meal together than it did to eat it because I was weighing everything and I had to figure out what was good for me, what was bad for me.
You were 70 years old at the time, and you had to start from scratch. Not only did you have to learn how to move your body, what to eat, technology on top of that. So
Mm-hmm.
how did you get started? Like, what, you went from basically zero, sounds like, to 100. How did you get started? What was your life like before, as far as your activity level and what you were eating? And then once
Well,
your
I
daughter.
had I had a membership to the gym, but I wasn't using it all that much because I was having trouble with my breathing
Mhm.
and moving around and all the rest of it. And I passed out a couple of times at the gym, ended up in hospital. That's when they found out that my kidneys were, I had kidney failure. And I definitely did not want to go on dialysis like my dad. And anyway, I just bit the bullet. I just said, I've had enough. I want to live my life. I don't want to just exist. And I told him that what I was going to do. And I said, I'm going to go to Mexico for at least 2 weeks and learn something here because I can't do it on my own. I took 2 weeks, went down, almost croaked when I was down here because I'd never been in anything so hot in all my life. It was really hot here and it's humid. And
Mhm.
those two things, I don't mind the heat so much, but the humidity just about slays me.
Yeah,
So
me too.
I had acid reflux at the time. I had high blood pressure and I had high cholesterol. And anyway, I got my doctor on board and she monitored me. I said, if I can lose weight and my blood pressure evens out, because that's one of the problems, they were going to give me more medication for that because my blood pressure was up and down like a yo-yo. So I got her on board and she monitored me and I had to come off the medication, even though I had been told when I first started it that I would never get off of it. So doctors, like, they tell you things that are not really true because they don't believe that people can change.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really is. They don't have any belief in that people can change because a lot of people are afraid to change. And
Well,
like
then it's hard work.
I
It's
can
hard
say
work.
that now because I've learned that's what it is.
Hmm.
They're just afraid that
Hmm.
they have to put some effort into getting healthy like they're just missing so much out of life. And my
Yeah.
husband did the same thing. He didn't do anything, and he passed away a year ago.
I'm very sorry to
Yeah.
hear that.
So it's just like you have to take charge of your own life, apparently, because no one else is going to do it for you.
It's true. That is true. I sometimes think people take such good care of their possessions, right? They take, for
Oh, yeah.
example, such good care of their car. They wax it and they put the best gasoline in it and they do all the tune-ups, but they completely neglect their body. You can buy a new car, but this you're stuck with
You
for the
can't.
rest of
You're
your
stuck
life.
with it. You're
Yeah,
damn right. That's right.
yeah,
It's absolutely true. You should really respect your body.
yeah, yeah,
And I don't think anyone even thinks of their body. It's all things. You can't take things with you.
yeah.
And it doesn't matter how many things you have, if your health is not good, what like what good are they?
There's that saying, a healthy man has 1,000 wishes and a sick man has one wish, and
Yes.
that's to be healthy. Yeah. So tell us a bit. I get goosebumps thinking about your story because I witness it over and over, especially in the United States. I'm from Europe, you're from Canada. It's a little bit different than the United States, but sadly it's going in that direction as well in those
Yes.
places. But in the United States, obesity is rampant, diabetes, all of these what we call age-related diseases, which we just was just normal as we age. They're rampant, and I watch television, and it's all about the commercials are all about medications for all of these diseases that, like you said,
Why
could
don't you
be
prevent it?
exactly they could be prevented or even be turned around with the right care. So you were 70 years old when you got these bad news that you had to up your meds and you felt miserable and you decided to turn your life around. So take us through those first 2 weeks. I can imagine they were quite tough when you suddenly had to.
Well, they were really tough. There's there's times I couldn't get my body to do what I wanted it to do at all because you had all this weight around you, and I was
Mhm.
sweating profusely. And I think my daughter just forgot how old I was, and she was pushing me, and like I was grunting and groaning because I had just too much weight on me.
Mhm.
With the acid reflux, I threw up several times when I went to the gym because it was hitting the midriff, right?
Mhm.
And you when you have a big space around your middle, it's like you're choking yourself
Mhm.
when you're trying to bend and all the rest of it. And that's what was happening with me. And when I went back home, I would call her, telling her, I can't eat all this food. I can't do this. I can't do that. And then she talked me around, either her or her husband talked me around. I said, I could have thrown in the towel many times
Mhm.
that first year. Well, actually, the first few months, because it took me about 3 months before I got hungry. So I knew then that my metabolism was perking up a bit. And then by the end of the third month, beginning of the fourth, I could see I put on jeans that I couldn't wear before. And I could put my arm down, and that's how much I'd lost for
Mhm.
inches. So it was just like, this is working. How can it work? They want me to eat more food than I normally eat. But what my problem was, I snacked.
Mhm.
Like if I got a little hungry, just get a snack. And most of the time, not all the time, it was peanuts. You
Okay.
think, okay, nuts are healthy. No, they're not.
Mhm.
They're a lot of, they are, but they're not. They have a lot of fat.
Yeah.
And I was eating way more than I should have. So I had to learn a lot about the nutrition part. So your macros. And it took me a long time. But when I saw the results of the inches coming off, even though the weight wasn't necessarily coming down as like I wanted it to, but I didn't want to go too fast because I told her, I said, she asked me how much I wanted to lose, and I said 30 pounds. That way I can move around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time it was a 6-month course, by the time that 6 months came up, I had already lost 45.
Wow.
So I just wanted to continue. I didn't think I needed to be on any program as such. Just give me the exercises and I'll do them.
Mm-hmm.
But she kept me, and I had to be accountable. And at the very beginning, like taking the photos, that first photo, if you've ever seen it with that bathing suit, oh my God. I go, I was that big? I didn't think I was. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't see yourself like others see you. And I was huge, obese. So I know I'm jumping around here, but I think of things as it comes along. And then, anyways, when the 6 months were up, I had lost that much weight. Then she had a friend that had a magazine that was coming out, a new magazine called Define, and she wanted him to take pictures of me, and I ended up on the cover of his magazine. One of the first. It wasn't the first book that came out, but magazines. But it was all about, older women getting
Mm-hmm.
fit.
Mm-hmm.
They were still younger than I was, like 50,
Mm-hmm.
40 and 50. And yeah, so it worked out. I got curious. If I can do this in that amount of time, what will I look like if I continue for another year or for another 6 months?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of October, my doctor had me completely off my meds. I am now, just this year, because I have had a problem with my kidneys again. So I'm back on blood pressure because it's the blood pressure that causes the
Mm-hmm.
problems with the kidneys. Uh, but it's a very small dosage than what I was taking before. It's just to get me evened out. I don't know where I was going with this one, but
That's okay. You said so many things that I want to circle back to really fast. You said your daughter didn't realize how old you were, and it made me think that, we now know there's biological age and chronological age. And because the way you treated your body, it was probably your biological age was actually above 70, probably,
yeah,
even though you was, because 70 really isn't that old nowadays anymore, but because
no,
the way you have treated your body, your biological age was much higher versus now, it has come down quite a bit, which is amazing. But also when you said, how am I supposed to eat all of this? And I think that's something, I'm a personal trainer as well, and I have for half of my life. And every woman I've ever worked with, they're so afraid of food. And they think if they starve themselves and do a bunch of cardio, that's the answer to it. Not
yeah, it's not.
realizing, no, it's your muscle that is actually what is revving up that metabolism. And you can actually eat food if our body is made to eat food. We're not supposed to store it. That's just when our body gets confused. It's nice that you brought that up, because I think it's a great reminder.
We don't have enough education about it. You
Yeah,
don't get that in school.
yeah.
They don't really give you the meat
Hmm.
that you need, the knowledge that is telling you, okay, this is what this does, and this is what that does. And yes, I was strong even before I started
Hmm.
because I did a lot of the physical work around our place. And that's building retaining walls and designing my own gardens and all the rest of it. But you didn't know because you couldn't see it. It wasn't defined.
Yeah.
And in that first 6 months is when I started seeing a little more definition. And that's what they captured in the Define magazine.
Hmm.
And I think that's one of the kickoff things that started people even seeing me. I wasn't on Instagram until November of that year.
Okay.
Michelle wanted me to keep in touch with the people that I was talking to. And then I think it was 2018 when I did the hip thrust one and it went viral. I had been getting more and more people. I didn't know what was a good thing or what wasn't a good thing. I didn't pay attention to that. I wasn't interested in Instagram and all the rest of it. I just wanted to tell people that they could change their life because I did it,
Yeah.
you know, and I just wanted to share that with other people. But when that went viral, my numbers started going up quite a bit. And then it was another friend, a photographer, who was here doing photography for us. And because I started coming back here more often, like each year it would be like increase the time away from Canada. And mainly it was mainly in the winter time, but yeah, because I wanted to get, with my arthritis, it always bothered me a lot more in the wintertime with the cold.
Yeah. When you say back here, we have to clarify you're in Mexico right now with
I'm
your
in
daughter.
Mexico
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway, he looked at my numbers. He says, she could be getting paid for this. No one even knew. But it wasn't a big thing anyway, because Michelle was mainly the driving force, and she's the one that gave me the, what do you call it, the handle, train with Joan. The person who's behind me all the way is my daughter and my son-in-law. She got me onto Instagram just to keep me talking to other people. Most of the people were really, really nice. And they made me feel like I was actually doing something because they would say that I had given them hope. And that's really what it's all about. We all need hope. We all need to know that we can do something that we've been told we couldn't do and accomplish it. Yeah, it made me want to stay on and not give up when I could very easily have given up. Being needed to spur another person on is a big thing in my book anyway.
I told a friend of mine that I was going to interview you, and I said, "Yeah, I'm going to interview this lady, Joan." And she said, "Not train with Joan." And I said, "You know her?" And she said, "Oh my God, she has millions of followers on Instagram." I'm not on Instagram, so I didn't even know. I just came across you on other platforms, but you are inspiring millions. And I think one reason for that and why I find you so inspirational, we see here and there an older person that has gotten fit, but often there's a lot of artificialness around it. There's the fake tan and the big boobs and the facelift and all of that. And it's hard to identify with that, but you yourself, I've heard you say, "Yeah, I have some loose skin. That's normal for my age." But,
Yeah.
with that loose skin, you have some
I've got
big
muscle.
guns. Yeah, look at that. So that's what's so inspiring. And like you said, you have some arthritis, you have some kidney problems, but you don't let that hold you back. And another thing that's amazing about you that I found out through another interview, I stalked you for a little while on social media. You're not on any hormone replacement therapy,
Oh
which I
no.
find quite incredible, because that's something I personally am a big proponent of it. I've been on it for quite a while, but
And it's good for some people.
yeah, but I've always thought it's necessary to build muscle to be healthy. But you show that no, you can get strong and build muscle even in your 70s and beyond without hormone replacement therapy. So that's quite incredible.
I follow a lot of older people as well, and I think they're incredible, but they've been doing it all their life.
Mhm.
I didn't really do anything earnestly until Michelle took me over eight 8 years ago. Yeah. I didn't have the resources to get a trainer all the time
Mhm.
because it's pretty expensive.
But so yeah, that was something else that I thought was so incredible, that because again, we learn more and more about hormone replacement therapy and how important that is for muscle mass, for bone density, for all of those things. And then seeing somebody like you, I've heard you say in one of your interviews that even in the last couple of years, you gained more muscle mass and you're able to do all of that without being on hormone replacement therapy. while you're getting older. Now tell us what a normal day for you looks like. What does your training look like? What does sort of your typical diet look like?
Well, I won't go into too much detail with that because Michelle's got me on a 4-day program.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 days are, well, all the days I do cardio because I get around on a bicycle.
Okay.
There's cardio involved there.
Mm-hmm.
Or I walk a lot. But I do 2 days of upper body, 2 days of lower body, and I do, depends on what days I'm doing what, is whether I do, like 10 or 20 minutes of cardio,
Mm-hmm.
or I'll do a HIIT, high intensity.
Interval training.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
And I know what it is, but I don't know what the letters stand for. I do that once or twice a week, just for a half an hour, like
Mm-hmm.
10 minutes on, 10 minutes off, or I do 20 seconds high intensity and then 40 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing it for 10 to 20 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
And I find that's really great. It gets my heart rate up and keeps my heart healthy too,
Yeah.
which I don't really have a problem with my heart, but I had rheumatic fever as a child twice, and it left me with a slightly enlarged heart. But that's the only problem I've had with my heart. And if I don't think about it, to me, it's I don't have anything wrong with me.
Yeah. What's your favorite exercise? What's the exercise you pick without even thinking about it?
When I'm doing exercises, I like my lower body. I guess because I've had a problem with my left shoulder, I can't lift with it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's because I had a fall off the bicycle and I
Mm-hmm.
landed on my shoulder on the highway and hit my head as well. Didn't do anything wrong with my head. At least I don't think I did. I didn't have a concussion or anything like that. But I think I pulled some muscles and tendons out of place,
Mm-hmm.
and it just got worse and worse, and now I can't. Like, even getting my arm up is a chore, and I usually help it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to bring it down slower. But like this one, I could exercise all day with this one. I'm strong on that side, but I don't want to be funny looking. Like, one looks strong and the other one looks bleh.
Now, what about as far as diet? Do you have any restrictions? Is there a certain way you eat?
No, but when I do eat, I do exercises in the morning, and I have a larger meal to get me going
Mm-hmm.
before I exercise, and there's a larger meal after the exercise. Then it's smaller meals for the rest of the day, and it's every 2 to 3 hours that I plan on eating.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't always work out that way, but as long as I get it within the 2 to 3 hours range, and I'm finished. I don't have anything after 7. I I just can't. I don't.
Okay.
I want to have food in my stomach so my body can digest it overnight, but I don't want a big load because then I can't sleep properly.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to keep track of my hydration. I got to keep track of my sleep. I go to bed pretty early, but then I
Mm-hmm.
get up pretty darn early too. I meditate or do yoga whenever, like in between. I'm doing Duolingo, trying to learn. I can read the language. I just can't. I'm afraid to speak it to anybody. But I've got a pretty full life. I'm busy all the time.
It sounds like it.
I'm always doing something.
I want to go back to a few things you said. I like that you brought up eating every 2 to 3 hours. You're fueling the machine. But I also like that you brought up that you also train your mind. You do yoga, you meditate, and you're learning another language because all of that's a muscle too that has to be trained. So that's nice to hear that you're
Mhm.
focusing on that as well.
Well, I've said most of my life, like I just didn't practice everything. You you have to learn something, almost one thing a day in your,
Hmm.
even if it's a little thing.
Yeah.
You've got to give yourself credit for little things. And my
Yeah.
last challenge was 1%. 1% better every day. Something you've got to be 1% better at each day, and that adds up.
I like that.
It's a perfect, to me, a perfect symbol of I can do it. I can
Mhm.
1%.
That's doable, yeah.
That's what I want. That's what I want people to realize, that it doesn't have to be a big thing. You don't have to look like anybody else. You don't have to um because I get people asking me, what weights are you using? Doesn't matter what weights I'm using. What can
Mm.
you use? Like, how can you do it with good form and repetition and not fail?
Yeah.
It's consistency. All you have to do is be consistent and have the right form. And you can't wait, if you can't lift 15 pounds, maybe you can lift 10. If you can't lift 10, maybe you can lift 5.
Hmm.
In repetition, you know yourself, like 5 pounds might feel like nothing when you pick it up, but you do exercises 10 to 15 of reps and 3 sets of reps.
Hmm.
So that's 45. You're tired at the end of that. You feel the weight. It seems like it's growing heavier and heavier.
Yeah.
It's just, but that's the way it is. So don't care about what other people are doing. Care about yourself. That's the only person you got to beat, is yourself.
That's the person you have to live with 24 hours a day too. So
That's right.
yeah.
And if you can't live with her or
Yeah.
him,
Yeah.
you better change something.
You are a fitness influencer at this point, as silly as it sounds. I don't like the word influencer, but you definitely, like I said, you influence millions. But it sounds like it's not taking over your life. You're active every day. You're doing the things that it takes to stay healthy and even continue to get healthier and grow, but it's not taking over your life. So I think that's
No,
something we need to stress to people. It can be done.
yeah, it can be done. And the thing is, if you can't spend an hour or 2 hours on you and your body, that's pretty sad.
That is true.
Because you got to, if you want to live, and I mean live, not exist, you've got to invest in you.
Yeah.
And that's all I've done, is I switched to investing in myself. I want to live.
And how would you say the last 8 years, we know how it has physically changed you, but how would you say the rest of your life has changed as far as emotionally, spiritually? How has getting healthier impacted you in other ways aside from just physically?
I get to live in different places. I I've still yet to go to Europe. I've never been to Europe yet.
Oh, you have to go.
Yeah.
Lots of
I,
beautiful
I've got
countries.
a lot of people that follow me come from Brazil or South America.
Hmm.
So I'd like to even go there and visit at some point. Like, there's so many people that have, I don't know, they've reached out to me in such a way that they feel like they're friends,
Hmm.
you know. And if you ever come to this country, like, let us know, let us know. So I'm going to be doing that.
Good.
I'm
If you
gonna
come to San
take
Diego, let
one
me
or
know.
two trips, big trips a year, and that'd be it. Just go and visit people, talk to them, ask them how they're doing.
So it sounds like getting healthy has really expanded your horizon on
Oh,
many
it
levels.
has,
Yeah.
definitely. I'd never I'd never really flown anywhere except in Canada.
Hmm.
Never went anywhere else before. So yeah, I'm getting to see more of the world in that respect. And I find, and it's too bad things are happening the way they are, but this world has so much to offer people,
Hmm.
not just respecting yourself, but the environment.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, if you could do it all over again, what would you change?
I would start earlier, but then you'd never have heard of me.
That is
No,
true.
it's so true. I'm going, I'm such an ordinary person. No one would have paid attention if, because it's even with my daughter, she's got everything that you could possibly want, to be like, and she doesn't have the following I have. People don't realize it's a lot of her inputting. Like she makes sure that my pictures get up, and because I don't know how to do that type of stuff.
Yeah, they're a
And
great team.
yeah, it takes it takes a village to
Yeah.
raise people.
Now you were saying at the beginning of your journey you hated having your pictures taken. Are you feeling better about it now, having your pictures taken?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't mind it because she makes me look good, and she's not photoshopping it. She just all she does is get the right lighting. So amazing what lighting can do. I go around in circles until, you know, just keep going around and round and around, change position. Yeah.
You
And
got to give yourself some credit too, though. You're the one that has your daughter obviously is a huge part of it, but you're the one that has done the hard work. So you got to give yourself some credit too.
yeah, I know how much work I did
Yeah.
to get where I am. And I tell people that it's not easy,
Hmm.
but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Worth it.
Now, one thing I forgot to ask you, I wanted to ask you that when we talked about hormone replacement therapy, do you take any supplements that you feel have been beneficial for your journey?
I like the collagen. I'll put a teaspoon of collagen in my coffee first thing in the morning. Turmeric has been recommended to me. Oh, fish oil, yeah, omega 3s. And I had stem cell therapy, and
Okay.
I take a high dosage of vitamins
Hmm.
because the stem cells, when they inject it, I didn't realize how tiny that is, and they do that like millions in each area
Hmm.
that I had to have shot was my knee, my thumbs, and there's not much flesh on the thumbs. That hurt. Um, I didn't say anything. I didn't scream. I didn't pull away, but I grit my teeth a lot. And my shoulder, yeah. And I have a Baker's cyst that keeps coming in the back of one of my knees, and I had to have that drained before they could even give me the treatment. So, and I did take other supplements, like, well, vitamin C. I do the vitamin D and K2. Oh, I use melatonin every once in a while because sometimes I can't sleep. But I'm glad my daughter got me have you ever had a night mask?
Oh yeah, I can't sleep without it.
Well, now I know why you people can't, because it does help you sleep.
Hmm.
Takes all the light out. Christmas time, she gave me one of them, and I'm going, this really works. I sleep better. Wow,
Yeah.
such a simple thing.
Hmm.
It does work.
It does, yeah. Now, what advice would you give? Because I hear it a lot. I'm too old, I'm too this, I'm too that. There's always the too something. What advice would you give to somebody if they came to you and said, it's great that you did that, but it would never work for me because blah, blah. What would you say?
No, you're standing in your own way. There's only
Hmm.
one person stopping you, and that's you.
Hmm.
There's nothing you can't blame it on anything or anybody else. It's yourself. If you want it bad enough, you can do it. You just have to be consistent and not have high expectations right off the bat. It's a
Hmm.
lifestyle change. It's not you're going to lose a lot of weight or you're going to get strong in a hurry and then you're going to go back to your old way of life. No, that's not how it works. You have to you have to change up here. This thing is the best thing you can work on, because
Hmm.
if you feel or think negatively, that's the outcome you're going to get. If you
Yeah.
think positively and persist, you're going to get a way different outcome.
Was that the first thing that had to change for you, change your mindset?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it's still changing. Like I have to keep at it because you can. lose heart every once in a while when something
Mhm.
really goes wrong, but it's temporary. I've learned that it's temporary. It doesn't
Yeah.
last forever. And you have to keep working at it because anything worthwhile has to be worked at.
Yeah. And I liked how you said earlier, there's a difference between existing and living.
There's a big difference. And who wants to sit around watching the tube when there's nothing on it that's worth looking at? Except for me, it was, National Geographic or, things
Mhm.
like that. There's no programs that are really worth watching. And people sit and watch that stupid thing for so long. No wonder they have wide posteriors.
So what's next for you? What's to come in the future? What do you want your 80s to look like and your 90s
I just
and
want to
beyond?
I just want to be the healthiest that I can be till the day I croak.
I hope we get to see you for many more decades, inspiring millions of people. Thank you so much, Joan. It was such a pleasure talking to you. You're such an inspiration.
Well, thank you so much for listening to my prattle.
You weren't prattling it out. Is there anything else you would like to share with us?
No, except if they want to get started, my app is programmed for people who can't move very well, and then it's got beginners, and then it's got intermediate, and it's a progression. It takes a while. You can repeat. You can do so many things with it. It's got the macros in there. It's got all the stuff that you need.
I will share your app and all of your social media down below and how people can get in contact with you.
Okay. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, my dear.